It's already going
All right.
to go into.
Okay. Okay, it's been sent to third party. All right, so I understand. Okay, so that's basically, so it's not the treasury unit. So Mr. Toyin Adewara being here is for purpose of control. In her own case, because she also happens to be the treasurer, it is relevant for her to be here because we need information from the treasury for you to be able to function. Are we together? So in her own case, she's here based on the fact that she's a treasurer and she's here as a member of this committee. So that also means that whoever becomes the treasurer tomorrow have to be a part of this committee. Otherwise, we will slow down the operations of this committee. You will need to be getting in touch with the treasurer to find out what is available, to find out what is not available, to find out what is usable, what is not usable. That is why it is essential that the treasurer be here, right? So for every other person, you are here because you were just grafted into it. It's not based on anything you are currently doing in the ministry. Please understand that. The only person who is here based on her current role is the treasurer. So tomorrow, if we have a new treasurer, then Sister Toyin Adewara may no longer be relevant on this team, except we just want to keep her as a part of this team. Maybe we want to expand the team. I hope we're flowing with what I'm saying. That is when she will then be here. But whoever is the treasurer of the ministry must always be here because that person has information on what we have. And the major information that you need in this committee is the finances, the state of our finances. The next thing you need is what is being requested for. And then you can go into your deliberation. So if you don't have those two source information, really, you cannot, you're not supposed, there's nothing you are operating on, and you cannot operate effectively. And that is why she's supposed to be here. And then we're supposed to have a dedicated email address. That email address is supposed to be available. We're all supposed to have access to it. We're all supposed to set it up so that once they send email to the finance committee, every member of the finance committee will get that email if you set it up. Do we understand what I'm saying? So that means that the way I set up chiefservant@vpwm.org, if you have access to the password for it right now, you can also set it up. So this one, the password for it will be shared and all of you will set it up on your system. And I want to say clearly, it is supposed to be set up perhaps on all the systems, all the devices that you have that can accommodate it, or on your main device. I will actually suggest you put it on all your devices. You know why? There is sensitivity to the promptness of the assignment of this committee. Because if you look at it, if you have 4 people having to sit over a decision, if we have to be waiting for any one of you, there's going to be an issue. If we have to be, if you don't see, if for instance they send it and it's not even set up, you are not even aware of it, and you need to make deliberations, and until the next 4 days you don't get to see it, we are putting a clog on the wheels of the operations of wherever the requisition is coming from, effectively the operations of the ministry. We're not setting this up so that we can have bureaucracy where everything is delayed, where we are not getting results on time. No, not even in this year of momentum. In this year of divine momentum, it has to do with speed. It has to do with, proactiveness and speedy response. So we cannot afford the delay. That is why all of you will have that email set up. And I understand that on the interim, you have a WhatsApp group that is set up. Okay? So since you have a WhatsApp group that is set up, the WhatsApp group is doing similar thing to what that email will be doing, but I insist on email because WhatsApp can decide to go tomorrow. We have been using email for many years. And with email, anybody coming on board too will have access, okay, to it. You just set it up and they can always have access to it. I prefer the email because it is more official. Simply put, it is more official, it is formal. The WhatsApp can just be something that they can quickly use to call your attention to the fact that, oh, we have email, right? And your decisions can be made. But once the requisition is come, because the way it works right now, the requisition goes to certain persons, then it is copied on the system. Now, don't get me wrong. This is not to indict anybody within this group right now. But when somebody is copying email to you and you are not getting the email firsthand, you don't know at what point maybe it's distorted. I can copy email to you and I can decide to add whatever I want to add before it gets to you. And I'm not saying that any one of you here are dubious. Neither am I saying that anybody we will bring will be dubious. But you can only expect so much from a man. You don't know what goes on within the man. So we can bring in people tomorrow who are not as trustworthy as those of you here now, or who can begin to play pranks. The devil can play on anybody, right? So it is better we set up a system that is 99% glitch free, right? There's nothing 100% when it comes to human being, but at least we can set it up. Even a 90%, that's what I would say. Really, 99% is expecting too much. 90% glitch free. So with the emails, when the email is sent, originating from the person who is the sender, the original sender of the email, that person, and all of you will get what the person is sending. Okay, so that is the reason why the email is very important. Having said that, then you go do your deliberations. Deliberations could also be through the email. All you just need to do is click on reply to all, or your reply to all. Then maybe you will originate email is yes, ma. Mrs. Adewara.
PFB is out.
Yeah, she has to come in. I'm sure she's signing on back. Please check. Since we're documenting now, it can be read up. So please quickly check whether to wait or I don't know whether it's a battery problem or a network issue. What's going on? We're wasting too much time.
Yes, I'm trying to reach her.
Oh, I thought 22 was coming now.
Sister Did you try to reach her?
I'm not getting
I can't
through.
get it. The line is
I'm
not
not getting through
connected.
to her. It's not even connecting. Let me call her again. Maybe she has low battery.
But it might be low battery because the messages dropped. The messages I sent dropped.
You can't get through to her, right? Let's continue.
No, we can't.
Is it that it's ringing, she's not picking, or it's not going through?
It's just not connecting.
It's switched off. It said it's switched off.
Okay, so Shebi, you are recording, right?
Yes,
I mean, you are okay. So okay, all right, she's back.
Yeah, and she's back. Yeah.
Okay, I think it's network issues. Okay, so what did we say before she went off?
Okay, about the email.
Okay, so about the email. So I was saying
mm,
that the emails that everyone will get will, for instance, if I'm sending you email, as I originate the email, what will be reaching each one of you will be the same, is not distorted. And that is why it is critical that we have the email. Now, in your deliberation, okay, so I was saying that when you now want to reply to when you want to do your deliberations, it can also be done formally. One of the reasons why I would prefer us to use the email to do the deliberations is because there will be a thread of the conversation, which if you go and do it on WhatsApp, it's on your WhatsApp, right? Somebody else coming on may not see the thread. But if it's a thread, if somebody, for instance, if we take somebody out right now, we can still have access to the thread of the email through somebody else's email, or whoever signs into that can see the thread. But with WhatsApp, when I get in on your WhatsApp, is whatever you have sent before I get in on the WhatsApp, I can't see it. That's why I would prefer that we have even our deliberations via the email. In proper organizations, email is the formal way of communication, and it is for reference, right? So that is what I would ask that we do. But when responding, because if for instance you are sent a requisition from welfare, from Vessel of Mercy, for instance, or wherever, when you want to reply and you click reply all, your deliberations will also be seen by the person who originated the mail. Meanwhile, your deliberations should not be accessible to a third party. Anybody who is not within here should not have access to it. Therefore, in clicking, whoever is the first person sending the mail will have to delete. In doing reply, you will just do reply, but you have to remove the person who is sending the mail. If you do reply all, for instance, you will remove that person who sent the mail. So if it's coming from Vessel of Mercy, you will remove Vessel of Mercy after you have clicked on reply all. By the time you do that, all of you will still now be able to communicate. And with that first removal, you'll be able to just do reply all till you make your decision. When your decision is made and you want to communicate, you have to start a fresh email that will now have, you are now communicating from that email address to the email of the person, or you go and click on the original one that was sent to reply approved. In actual fact, yes, to do that. And then you now add maybe the treasury I'm trying to explain this thing because it can be confusing. For instance, I said that Statoyi is here. She's the treasurer. She's the head of treasury units, and that's why we call her the treasurer. And she's here. Never assume that because she's here, the decision that has been made here should be effected. Are we together? We want to move away from informalities. We want to move from improper way of doing things. So even though Sister Toyin is the head of treasury, and we have decided that this requisition for 3 million, okay, we have looked at it. Your 3 million is not approved. We are approving 2.2 million for this task. We are going to originate a mail. As you are sending mail to the person who is making a requisition that haven't deliberated on it, blah, 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 we are cutting this out, we're cutting this out, we're cutting this out. And when you are cutting out, in your deliberations, don't leave the people that sent the mail. Don't leave them out. You have to go back to them. I'm not saying you should add them to your own deliberation, but in your considerations, you need to be able to pull a call through to ask or to send a mail to say, this thing, why do you need this? Nobody here has the, can just sit down. I can't sit down here now. When they sent me the budget of HFIC, I didn't just sit down with it to say, this thing is too much. No, we cannot spend this 9 million. I'm cutting it. You can't cut just like that. If you want to do your own finance, also, so they said they are going to buy chicken. They will buy 10 cartons of chicken to prepare this food for this number of people. Or they're going to buy 240 pieces of chicken to give on to 110 pastors because we're giving them 222. Don't just decide, we're not giving them 2, we want to give them 1. You can't just make that decision. It is something that is coming from you based on the budget, but based on what you're trying to approve, but you can't just cut it to 1. You have to deliberate with them because you don't know how they came about the 2. And you don't know what is, now we've been giving 2 all along. Maybe they want to give 3 now. You can't just say, no, we have been giving 2 all along. You don't know how they came about wanting to give 3 and the reason. You've got to be able to have a dialogue with them. For that, I would say that when you have looked at what you want to do, you can call them into a meeting like this so that it can be fast to say, oh, now we are seeing 3 chicken here. It's going to increase the money we're spending. We used to give 2. Why are we giving 3? Let them explain themselves, because I want you to understand that every one of us, even as we're here right now, God brought you here because he has dimensions by which he deals with each and every one of us. So if I can see the back, because I'm sitting maybe towards the back in this team right now, I'm taking a back role in this team right now, but I can see the back. And this committee, PFB supervising this committee, she's sitting in front and she can see the front. Now, DBA is sitting maybe to her right. Star Adewara is sitting maybe to her left. And Saronke is sitting in the middle. There are different perspectives that God will be channeling through us. Therefore, we need all of those perspectives before we can say we have a holistic approach. You can't be looking forward only to make a decision that has to do with, that it also involves a right, a left, a center, and the rear. That if you make such decision, it is not 360. Okay? I know Sadewara has been zoomed out. She will zoom in back because I don't have so much time to spend on the meeting. Okay, she's back, right? So we have to consider that. That is why we're coming together. And that is why everyone must be involved, all hands on deck. If you understand it like that for this committee, I want you to know that the people sending requisition to, they have what they have thought through before they forwarded their requisition. What they have passed across may not be the best, but it is not without some measure of truth in it or measure of essence and significance in it. Therefore, you cannot just override what they've done and then come up with your own decision. You've got to consult them. Approval is from this committee, we agree. But in your approval, there are things we consider before we make approvals. Therefore, the originating person or the originating unit must be consulted in case you want clarifications. And then you can also do your own confirmations. And if you're going to do your confirmation, I want to say to you, you have to be on top of your game. So for instance, you are not a caterer. When we had MOM outreach last year, they had done a budget. They came to the meeting with it and all of that. They had a plan. In fact, they had taken steps concerning the plan so that when we come to the meeting, they'll be able to answer me, as swiftly as possible. They've gone ahead to hire. I'm just using this as an example for you to understand how critical what I'm talking about is. They've spoken to cooks who are the ones with them. They've charged them what they will charge them because we're going, outside of Lagos. We're going to Ogun State. It's a border of Ogun State and Lagos State. They've said, okay, these people that they've consulted will not bring their pots. They won't hire, they won't bring anything. They are just going to come on ground to come and cook. The next thing we could do with them would be for them to go and do the shopping. That means that we'll be releasing money to them to go and do that kind of shopping to come cook for us, which is a bit porous, okay? But they said that we're going to bring the cook. At that meeting, that they've said it to me, and I was okay, because they even told me who the cook is. This cook happens to be, I think, the person they always bring to do the cooking at AWR when we're on camp. So this is somebody who has worked with us, and I know that Mama is a Christian. She works with other Christian women and all that, which is good enough. But you see, at that meeting, as we were in this meeting where we're doing the ratifications and all of that, it just came to me that, okay, so they were trying to calculate. Oh, I said, I just asked a question. How many people can a bag of rice serve? And they began to say, okay, so if we use the, I said, if we use the styrofoam or whatever they call that pack, that they use that is not plastic. If we use the deep one, if we use the small one, blah, blah, blah. I said, okay, can somebody call me Bimbo Jideoju? Because many people had gone at that time. She was the caterer that was available. And as God will have it, she was standing by the table of HFIC. And then she came. So we began to bounce these things off her. So we were using it to do calculation of how many bags of rice we're going to need to be able to confirm this budget that they have done. It is in the process of that, she began to talk and she began to talk. And inside my mind, I was like, look, this thing is much more, obviously much more than us just hiring somebody to come and cook. It involves buying. It even involves buying the right kind of rice. We had somebody selling rice on ground. She was saying a bag of rice will serve this number of people, but she's not a caterer. She only has an idea. So we called in a caterer. By the time she did, we were able to corroborate and sort all of that. But inside my mind, the idea just came to me. Boom. Instead of you having to go and hire somebody to come and cook, and then you are still saddled with the responsibility, at least the team is still saddled with the responsibility of, oh, they want to go and blend pepper. Oh, it is this number of pepper they bought is not enough. It is that we wrote. We thought it would be okay. It's not okay. I didn't want all of that Herculean thing in a season when if you don't shop ahead, you'll be stranded. And then we're going outside Lagos. We don't have the time for those dilly-dally. And then I said, Bimbo, if you are going to handle this, and I know that some of the people that were there, they were not particularly happy with it because they were like, maybe we have planned. You can plan something. Somebody else can come with something else that is more, logical or that God is inspiring. So I said, okay, so what is going to cost us? And then she gave the advice. I said, how can you do that? I said, okay, if it is that you are cooking for me. Somebody said, if you are cooking it for Iyara and Leo, if you are cooking for me. And then she said she was cooking for that person. She even hiked the price. She said, you can afford more than that. And we're cracking all that joke. Long story short, she gave the amount that she was going to do it if she was doing for. I said, okay, we are doing for a ministry that, we're just upcoming and all of that. And then she gave the quote and I looked at it. If we are going to hire these people, true, maybe we'll be paying less than 100,000, maybe about 50,000 to pay the cooks. But how about all the other exigencies? Who is going to do the shopping? The transportation, the what is it again? The rentals of all the stuff that they're going to use, the crockery that they're going to use. And I said, okay, so if we pay you this, will you be okay with it? He said, well, I'll take it, mommy. I don't have a choice. That was how Bimbo came on board. That was how we hired her. And I'm telling you, from scratch to finish of that event, I did not have to think of, hey, it is 2 legs of chicken they bought. Hey, we said they should buy 5. Oh, the chicken they bought is not right. No. We got there that day. Food was almost ready by the time we got there. In actual fact, it was that we had food for everybody we wanted to serve, including impromptus. It was so well handled. The only information they gave me afterwards that they just didn't tell me that there was an accident on the way when the vehicle was moving stuff to the place. But luckily, the cooks were not on, they were not, on board that vehicle. And it was now the vehicle that ran into them that suffered a great loss and all of that, but that they didn't want to call me so that they don't stagger me. If it was the cooks that we sent on assignment, that anything happened to, do you know it will get back to us? And it will filter in like that. Everything was tidily handled. Why am I sharing the story? I'm saying that in coming together, all of our faculties are necessary. So that if I'm not seeing it from this perspective and you are seeing it from this perspective, we can bring heads together. And the fact that you are not seeing it from my perspective does not mean that my perspective is wrong. Because when we all looked at it, we realized, okay, let's give it to Sabimbo. The only person that I know that was feeling that, and I've promised those people that they will do the work. Well, sorry, nobody actually said they should be promised. It should have been an inquiry you were making. We shot that. By the time we were done from that event, when we were in the bus that day, I said, so can we do a quick review? How did you see our decision to have? I said, that was the best decision. Look, we were not involved in anything that has to do with food because I don't want to be involved in mundane. It's not mundane, it's major because we're going there to serve. But it will be mundane in comparison to the overall picture that I have to deal with. It will be mundane. And it was when I was saying this that they even now brought up the issue of the accident. The people that were working with me were so sensitive and they handled it as such, with such expertise and such sensitivity that they didn't give me information that can stagger and, just startle me for the whole event. That is why we have a team. And that is why you have to collaborate and with the people from whom the budget has come from. So for instance, let's switch it now. If this idea that we ended up rolling was what was presented to you, and you feel that, no, now, how can they be collecting this amount, or how can they collect 300,000 to do this kind of work? No. And somebody suggests, why don't we hire, like Vpwm suggested, and she went ahead to go and look for the cooks. Why don't we use the cooks? I'm sure all of these things I've explained did not occur to the person who is suggesting the cook. You cannot just then cut it and say, no, we're canceling it. And then you say we are using cooks. You are sitting down just to approve money. You are not the operations people on the field. I hope we understand. I'm trying to say we should not be too money conscious, cutting of budget and cutting of money so conscious that we'll be losing the essence of what we want to achieve and how we want to achieve it. As much as it is so important for us to save money. That is the reason why I'm doing this detailed explanation, that everybody that God has brought on board, he knows the reason why they're there. And even if you didn't plan to be on board, or you thought, oh, they shouldn't have brought me on board. Look, God knows that you have a faculty and he can channel things through your faculty. That's the reason why you are there. Okay? So everybody hands must be on deck. And I'm saying, do not neglect the source unit of your requisition, because before they brought it to you, they must have deliberated. I know that when we have, when we put controls in place, especially financial control, one of the key things that we're always thinking about is, oh, how they should not steal money. Oh, how they should not steal money. Please. It is important they should not steal money. It is so important that nobody should rob God here. It is very critical. However, if they will not rob God, we also must not rob God in another way. Because if we are so conscious of not robbing God of money, we can be robbing God of avenues of doing things. We can be robbing God of approach of doing things. We can be robbing God of ideas that can carry us faster and better than what, the bureaucracy that could obtain if we do not actually do due diligence. So it is not the monetary thing that should be the essence. In arriving at a monetary decision, is not only money that is our consideration. There are many things that we're going to put on ground to be able to accomplish it. Are we okay? Please spare me a minute. I just want to attend to something. 1 minute. I'm just trying to explain so that you will know that you still need to consult those people that did it. And when those people, when that unit was constituted and they were putting things together, I'm sure they must have done some deliberation. If they did deliberation, whatever deliberation that they have done, I want us to be able to appreciate that they have put in effort. Now, like we said, we're giving a 90% room, okay? 90% room for truth because we want to be, we believe everyone, right? Our hearts are open, but we are leaving room for errors and mistakes, whether intentional errors or cunning errors. Good. So that is why the control is there to checkmate. So if there's somebody now who is trying to play smart, that is where, you know, this control will be able to pick and be able to circumvent whoever is trying to be funny. When you have considered everything that they have considered, and you bring it to yourself and you put consideration, you do, I'm sure, because especially because we're dealing in a spiritual environment and we carry the Spirit, the Holy Spirit will confirm to you what to go and check. You may not even know that is because the Holy Spirit, maybe the Holy Spirit is trying to show that something is wrong. You just have a nudge. Let's just check. How much do they sell 10 cartons of? Why was I asking about rice that day? I didn't know that that is what it was going to lead up to. When I began to ask how many people will a bag of rice serve, it's not because I was thinking, oh, maybe they will cheat us. It's for us to be able to check how many bags of rice to buy. And that in addition to whatever it is we want to give out as rice or whatever to other people, because we're going to bag rice for some people. That was how I started it. That was what came to my mind. But look at what it led into. Look at the peace that it eventually brought us, simply because one question was asked. So when you have a nudging to do something, it doesn't stop with the immediate thing that comes to your mind. God may be bringing it, leading it up into something else. That's how we got into the decisions that we finally made. And we are happy at the end of the day. At least I am happy at the end of the day that I made that decision. Whoever now is not happy about it, well, it's left to them. The program is already done in such a way that we didn't spend too much money. And even if we spent more money than the person was expecting, that money was worth it. Because Yoruba people say, you spend money to avoid trouble sometimes. And when I say trouble, I mean stress. It's not everything that I have. I don't have to put people on this. Who is going to be doing shopping on the 26th or 25th of December? Who is going to be doing shopping on the 24th of December? Moreover, things will be more expensive. You needed an expert who is versed with shopping, who they can give their normal price to. There are a lot of things that go into anything that we do. And I want us to understand that there are people who have mastered this thing. Their own is not only about, the money available and the money to spend. They are also about, to get to do good bargains. I'm using food matter now, but it may not be food matter. So maybe they want to buy fans and you know who to confirm fans from. We will confirm. One of the things that this committee is supposed to move into, that you should grow into. So there should be no lapse time for you. It should not be that when there's no requisition, we're just there. No, you should be building a system that will enhance your deliverables. For instance, can we ask all the units that we have that send in requisition to the best of our ability that we know now? And as things evolve, we will update our list. Can you ask them, okay, so can you look at all the requisition they've sent and look at the things that we spend money on in the ministry? I'll take another example apart from food. We do decoration. So can we look at, who are the decorators that we use? Or who are the decorators available within the ministry and outside of the ministry? Can this committee begin to interview them and interrogate them so that we can have an established go-to people, right? So that when they bring you requisition of maybe decoration, for instance, you look at it, maybe they're using one of those vendors or they're not using those vendors. You are going to go to your own vendor that you have as on the list to say, it's not necessary that you have to give it to that person, but to do maybe like a quick check, a comparison, and or because you already have an established understanding with this vendor, you can move the job to this vendor. I'm sure you understand what I'm saying. These things are not cast in stone. So I'm not saying that this committee has a superior role to who does what for the people that are making the requisition. But I'm saying for the purpose of you being able to confirm the rates And for us getting the best of it, you should have people, go to people that you can check things up with. Sometimes people are giving me figures and I'm sitting on my phone. You are giving me figures, but I'm Googling and I'm saying, how much is this? Or where can I get this? Or what does this do? So that at least I have another idea. And people don't know that I'm doing that. They just think that when somebody says something, you're just taking it. No. You can do a check. You can Google. You can go to Jumia. You can go to Konga. You can go to where you can just even put it merely on Google. It will bring you options within Nigeria and outside Nigeria. That will be a guide. I can see it on Jumia. And it can say the person who has it cheaper lives in Abuja. So I need to quickly realize the fact that, okay, it's cheaper with this person, but this person lives in Abuja. And you need to quickly think about it. Even if we're going to send it by air, it's still going to cost us money. Therefore, based on that information, you will now look at it and see that, oh, the person who is on ground, who wants to supply, has not yet made too much demand. Do you understand what I'm saying? Those are the things that we're supposed to be checking. Those are the things we're supposed to be doing vis-a-vis requisition. Now, having checked all of that and we want to agree at this amount, we also need the information from the treasurer to say what money is available, right? To be able to know whether it's something we can fund. Can I also say that sometimes money that is available to spend, for instance, if we wanted to fund HFIC from the ministry post directly, we cannot afford it. But we had created a channel of inflow dedicated towards that event. And in past years, we've had HFIC that when we generate money, when money flows in, is not enough. Are we going to, because of that, well, the money they've generated for this thing, this is the dedicated inflow for this project. And now, like 1 week to, because in those days, it's 1 week to that will start. 1 week to, we are canceling the program because money that people have generated for a course is not enough. What do I used to do then? 2 things. We sit down again, we look at it. What can we cut off? Before now, we used to give those people, I think, either 10 kg bag of rice or a quarter bag of rice. I can't remember from where did we cut it that it now became a 5 kg bag of rice. We had to cut it. We still gave, there was a time they said we should remove some items. I said, no, we don't need to remove those items. We can give all the items, but the quantity, we can reduce it. And so we reduce the quantity of the rice. Now, having reduced the quantity of rice, we still went all the things we reduced. We went back to the budget. We saw that, oh, our money, the money that was given for this course was still not enough. And then we had to go back into the ministry to say, what can the ministry add? And I looked at it and we had to move funds from somewhere within the ministry. So I'm saying also that these things need deep deliberation. Once you go into the account and this money is not enough, does not mean we're throwing it out. And we have limits. There is the extent to which you can spend. And we're going to be discussing that here now. So, for instance, we're saying the money available, the money not available, the money this, the money that. When you look at all of that, but you can defend what you want to approve. And you know that it is worth doing. And I'm not saying just coming to say it is worth doing. You must be able to defend it. I'm speaking to you right now. I can just give all of these instructions and walk away. But I am defending the instructions that I am giving. I am defending the template we're trying to create. I'm trying to explain for you to be able to understand and be able to come to terms with what I'm saying. And by the time the floor is open for you to comment, you will bring your ideas about it and we'll be reaching a consensus before we leave this meeting, right? So you must be able to defend it, not just throw it and say, I've looked at it. Once you look at it, it does not give you the final authority, especially if you need to scale it up. Now, in scaling it up, I don't need to see what you're approving. All of you are there. That's why everybody must deliberate. Now, but if you are now stuck, oh, we have looked at this thing. We can justify why we need it. But the money that our limits can reach, and we're looking at it that maybe there is something else that can be done, bring it to my notice. That we set up a finance committee does not exempt that I don't know what is going on under my nose. God does not choose a leader and replace that leader when the leader is still there. No. Whatever and whoever is functioning on behalf of just so to relieve the pressure of that person. When you now need to make a decision that is outside of jurisdiction that has been, allocated to you, you need to scale it up. You can't just cancel it out based on that, right? That is when you need to scale up and say, oh, we're considering this. It's this much. We have looked at it and we really need it. However, well, if we don't have a choice, is either we throw this thing out or we cut down on it still. Maybe we don't do everything at once, but we are considering that, is there anywhere that we can dip into to take this money? It is so important. Tony is not here now, but she needs to hear this, because I can categorically say to you, it is one of the problems that I have had with Treasury units over the years. Okay? It was one of the reasons, okay, if they have a supervising somebody, but with the supervising and then everything, they still did not attend to this. She goes into any account, she takes money, they spend money from, till yesterday, I was still challenging her. Because somehow, especially there's a particular account that I think is maybe the default account that we opened. And because of that, it is that account that the alert will normally come to my phone. So if anything is being done on that account, I will see it. And she was making transfers from that account. And I've done that several times. And then she told me that, oh, sorry, ma, it was a mistake. I didn't even know it's from that account. Imagine if I didn't have that alert on my phone. That money will go. She didn't eat it. She didn't embezzle it. She spent it on what has been approved. But that money is not supposed to come from there. And I will think, oh, we still have this money here, only for me to get there and the money is not there. And when you now say, why did they spend the money? Then it's looking like, but I did steal it. But we didn't spend it on ourselves. Maybe we spent it on the ministry thing. Why is she not grateful of anything that is done? It's not so. Obedience is critical. If your evaluation is done and obedience is missing, a very major thing is missing, because there is no disappointment without expectation. So if I expect that we're only spending money from account A to D, account E to G must not be touched. If for whatever reason you touch account E to G without my approval, it is called disobedience. It doesn't matter. It just does not matter whether you have been in ministry before me. It doesn't matter whether you are, like Toyin is a qualified accountant. It doesn't matter in this place. What matters in this place is that who is the person who they have given the veto of these two. I'm using that example right now because in another case, it may not be me. Pastor Funlola is in charge of HFIC. There's nothing that must be done when it comes to that unit or that department or that arm of that platform of our ministry that she must not know about. So, for instance, you can't say because we're the ones in control of we're financial control, then you are saying we want to dip hand in HFIC money without the knowledge of the set person over HFIC. She herself, she has the right to know. And if she knows and she wants to do it, she will still channel it to me because she knows that she is under authority when it comes to that. The fact that she's been placed over HFIC does not make her the overall person within the ministry. If she sees that it's something that can pass, she will handle it. But when it comes to money, I'm sure she will scale it up to say, we're spending this amount of money from HFIC, and I think it's okay. But are you in approval of it? Even when you know that what I'm going to say is that it is okay, you need to still act because you never can tell. Vpwm, for instance, already knows that we needed a cook to cook those meals. She knew that I was not going to cook it. She knew that the team was not going to cook it. She knew we were going to cook it. And she knew that we had used these caterers before, these cooks before. So we should be okay with it. But they still brought it forward. And when they brought it forward, it moved from those cooks now to Bimbola to do it. Do you understand? So I was saying also that the fact that Toyin is here now, or Satoyin is here now, and we have approved, maybe you have all agreed now that, oh, we're paying 2.2. Haven't agreed on the 2.2. You need to generate a mail as a committee to Treasury. It does not matter that the treasurer herself is here and she has heard it. This is what they say when such is done. That is what they say. That is what they call familiarity. The office of the treasurer is different from the finance committee of which she's a member of. Even though she's a member of that committee, on the strength of her being the treasurer, there is need for you to still generate a mail, an approval from here, or an instruction from here. A document must go up from this committee to the treasurer to say, based on the proceedings, our deliberations, we have agreed as the finance committee that this amount of money should be approved for maybe HFIC, maybe his house of prayer, maybe whatever, maybe for AWR or whatever. This money is hereby approved. Please disburse. That is when she will disburse. She cannot get up from here based on what you say you are going to do and go and disburse money. So nobody should then tell the other party that, oh, we've agreed, they will do it. And then they are now expecting disbursement. She's not disbursing because she knows what's supposed to be. And then there's a loggerhead. And they're saying, Shebi, they've told you to disburse. Are you not a part of that committee? Please don't take things for granted. A mail must be sent. Because, especially when we are deliberating, you see, all these things I've been saying now, if there was no recording, and I ask you to regurgitate what I've said, it will come from DBA in a particular way. It will come from Sadewara in a particular way. Right? Because we are different. And at what point you have been distracted, we may not know. Even me, I shut up for just few seconds. When I came back, I had to ask you, oh, where did I stop? Right? That means that we lapse. But when we agree on something and you communicate it, she will act on the communication, because maybe we're on 2.4 or 2.35 before we came on 2.2. And maybe when we were on 2.35, somebody said, let's do 2.3. So it became 2.2, 2.3. And at the end of the day, we agreed on 2.2. Maybe she, as a treasurer, the last thing she will remember was the 2.3 before she got distracted. And she will go and disburse 2.3. A document must be made. So she does not do any disbursement without a mail that is approved. Okay? And like I said, the fact that we have a finance committee who does approval does not mean that I should not be in the picture of what is going on. I may not meddle in it, right? Because you are relieving her. She's supposed to do it, but now she needs help. So they've set up a system that will help her. Does not mean that she should not be aware. So that when God asks me, how much was spent on HFIC? All the announcements I was doing and the awareness I was creating and the fundraise I was doing regarding HFIC, if I didn't know what the target is, do you think I could do it that way? Do you think I could, if I don't know that, okay, we're still giving Ankara, and if we're giving Ankara, well, this time around, we want to give even to the pastors. If we did not do that, if I don't know what is going on, because I put Pastor Funola in charge, and I now become an aloof pastor, I'm too big for the assignment that God has given me, because I've committed it to some people now. I don't need to know what's going on. That's not my own style of administration, and it's not even a proper style. Whether it's my style of administration or not, that is not what leaders are supposed to do. The fact that you have people working with you does not make you now to become superior, so that you now hang your leg and you are not involved. The fact that they want to alleviate some things from you does not mean that you will not have information. You're not supposed to be abreast of it. I will not be able to raise the Ankara to the number that we raise the Ankara. I will not be able to raise, if I don't know that, oh, there is no egg. Normally, every year, somebody gives us egg. I went to the person who gives us egg. She has relocated. I said, your egg space is missing this year. Are you going to give egg? She sent money. She didn't give egg. She just sent money for HFIC. If I'm not abreast of those things, we still will not have been able to decide what to do with eggs. I didn't come to raise money for eggs like that before then, until we got a confirmation from her. When I knew the egg thing was still gaping, that was why we raised money for eggs. I'm trying to say that I must be aware. So when you are doing your final approval and sending a memo to Treasury, put me in copy. It could be a blind copy. It could be copy. Just put me in copy. That's why I don't respond to every mail, because all I need is information. Where I now think that, no, let me stop it, I will quickly say, no, hold on. You don't know whether somebody has called me to say, how much do you people even need for HFIC this year? I'll be giving 5 million to it. And I'll be able to say, no, hold on. Somebody has, said he's going to give us this. So don't disburse here. Let that fund come in. That is why I need to be carried along, right? So that is as per that. Do we understand? Do we have anything to say before I move into the next phase that I want to talk about, and then we wrap up? Anything to say? Any question to ask? Or
Yes, ma'am.
recap? All right, go ahead.
Yes, yes. For clarity, ma. So when we have the mail, which I had requested, I'm expecting media to generate it.
Okay.
When we have the mail, it will be FCT at
FCC.
Vpwm.
FCC.
.org.
Doctor, please change it with
FCC.
them.
Okay,
FCC.
correct it with them.
Okay.
Okay, committee. Yes, I'll change it with them. Okay.
Okay.
So FCC at vpwm.org. So by the time,
Doctor, switch off your video. Switch off your video. Maybe that will help your network.
Let's say we finished a deliberation.
Doctor.
PFB is supposed to send.
Doctor.
Yes, okay. Is it better?
Switch off your. Okay, all right. That's it. Go on.
Okay, is it better?
Yes.
So that, okay, so PFB is supposed to generate the final approval mail to Treasury with you in copy.
In copy,
instructing Treasury to release the funds and with you in copy. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
I just want to clear that.
Yes, that's it. Because the committee comprises of 4 of you, okay, or 5 of us, but I'm not in operations, so comprises of us. However, all of you cannot be sending approval. So the person who is supervising will be the lead person to now communicate, to give the final approval. But before we get to the final, I'm reiterating right now, before we get to the final approval, everybody's opinion will go into it. So if God is saying no, whoever God is saying no, that we shouldn't do this thing, or this is the way we should do it too, must say it. When that person says it, it will be corroborated. The Bible says that all of us can check. Okay, I may not be the one that they told first, but when it is said, it is not out of order for me to confirm that God is saying so, right? And it does not mean that I'm doubting whoever is saying it. So if Sarunke says, I'm not sensing that we should go ahead with this thing. And okay, so because I am the overall spiritual head, but somebody is speaking in the spirit that, oh, maybe it's not something we should do. I haven't received it, but I can check and say, God, is it? And there will be a confirmation. That is even more reason why when it's not only one person. So if one person, maybe one person is dealing based, because you see, sometimes we meet the spirit with our experiences. So if one person is, maybe she's basing it on what they do in their church, for instance, or maybe her experience in the past that, if you give money to that person, somebody else, because that's how we gave money to, she may not say all of that. That's how, maybe in her line of thought, in her mind, that's how we gave money in our church to this person to go and do this, and this is what they did. I don't think we should do this thing. I don't even think it's necessary. And the person comes up with it and say, I sense that we shouldn't go ahead with this thing. Can we all corroborate in the spirit? But I'm saying again, that because we need to check things and we need to confirm does not mean that we have to sleep over it, as in sleep forever on it, because time is of essence. We don't want to turn things to bureaucracy. So it's 2 days to HFIC. That's when somebody is just saying, okay, now I have brought my own confirmation on board. We must be able to. Let me tell you one of the things I learned from those who have gone ahead of us. At Shiloh, not one pastor, not 2, including Bishop himself, especially during the ministry session, the minister session, will tell us, well, the bishop will tell you, I've made mistake before. I've made decisions and I've changed it. So we are not supposed to be, boom, all outright. We can miss things. If we do things in the integrity of our heart and we miss it, there's provision for it. God allows it. In actual fact, it's making us get better in hearing God. It will make you to be more careful next time. It will make you to know how God is speaking next time. So this is a place for all of us to hone our skills and to develop our ability to hear. I recall, and Doctor can confirm this, Reverend Sam said at the watch nights during the service, said that this year, don't be bamboozled with prophecies. Don't be bamboozled with thus saith the Lord, because God wants believers to be developed. He said, become the Berean Christians, where when something is preached to you, go back and this is even including preaching, not just a prophecy. Even preaching, go back and read, so that you also can take delivery and take ownership. So if God brings you into a place like this, it's because he wants to develop your ability to hear. He wants to fine-tune your ability to hear. He wants to correct, maybe our excesses. He wants to build us up to be able to step up instead of us just, so Ronke just says, Pastor Mayako is there. She will decide now. She's our spiritual mother. She knows what to do. No. If she knows what to do, God will not bring you on board. And like I said, maybe she, in her fast pace, in her temperament is a fast pace. She's not quiet enough, she's not silent enough, she's not subtle enough to be able to pick this thing that God is saying. And then somebody who is subtle on the team will hear it, and God will pass it through you, and then you bring it forward. And then that will hold her tracks a bit to say, this is what I feel I should do, but we should do. But now that this person is saying this, then we'll go back to check. And because that person has now slowed down to check, we'll be able to hear exactly what God wants. And it may still not flip to what you think you heard. Do you understand? That is why we always need more than one person making a decision when it comes to things like this. So I think that should have answered your inquiry, right, Doctor? Okay.
Yes, ma'am. It's clear.
You may not be making inquiry. You may want to make a comment or chip in an idea to fine-tune what I've shared. So everybody must talk. In this group, if you don't talk, I'm removing you. Straight up. I'm telling you. So Ronke, you're smiling. I'm serious. Because you didn't come here to be looking at me and be keeping quiet. We brought you on board for a reason. Exactly. So who is going next? Who has anything to ask or to add?
I also wanted to ask the same thing Doctor said, that who does the final approval? I mean, the final mail for approval, but you've answered it that PFB is
yes,
going to do that.
Okay. Is the PFB? Is she here? I can't see her face. Are you here, PFB? Ronke, I can see your face. You are here. You don't have anything to say. Hey, your mic is muted right now.
Okay, what I just want to say is that, okay, like what you mentioned, I think the issue of promptness should be considered, because sometimes
the issue of
promptness in attending to requisitions should be considered, because actually it slows down process. But if you're able to address it very well, I think it's going to be. And then, of course, at the point, I'm sure we should need, like you mentioned, because it was part of some of the things I was meant to say, that there should be like a process flow, and like, I don't know, like a process flow to approvers, and sometimes some of the requests and everything, there should be like a vendor list, really, you've mentioned it, and a process flow also to all these things, that, okay, when this thing comes, because there are some expenses that always come through, maybe at the very nick of time. And you'll be wondering, is it like the central leader is not aware that this thing is due or not? Some of those things, I really don't really have a very full picture to some of those things, but the little I could get in the course of the few weeks or months I've been here, that most of those things, they will bring it like, oh, it's tomorrow. Like, are you just telling us that this thing is due tomorrow? Maybe there is a monthly payment or something. So there are some things need to be addressed, even with those people, with the originators also. Because resources are limited.
Yeah. I agree with you. I want you to understand that where we are right now, we're in a transition. Okay? And transition can be a long journey. So maybe you've heard me say we're in transition before. Yes, we're in transition and we're still in transition. And it is part of our transition journey that has brought about this committee. Now, this transition journey, why am I talking about the transition right now? Based on what you have just said, I want you to understand that we're trying to move people away from where we used to be to where we ought to be, okay? And the way to do it, start with yourself. If you start with yourself, you understand what I'm trying to say right now. How easy is it for you to also move away from where you used to be to where I want you to be now, or where you ought to be now in the ministry? So for instance, in this ministry, one of the things that the devil has used, and I will just say the devil, but if we did not cooperate with it, all of us together, it probably will not fly, is the lastminute.com. For instance, as we're sitting down here right now, we all know that at least until God says otherwise, we're going to have business summit. Okay? So I believe that the team that knows that, oh, we did not dissolve the team, they're still the one working in 2024, should have started their plans. But nay, based on how we have always been, they won't start then. We will now start like maybe 8 weeks to. And even the 8 weeks to, 3 weeks out of that 8 weeks to, they will be dragging. You are left with 1 active week before the takeoff of the summit. That is how things have been. We are trying to move from there now. So I'm saying that ahead, that so that you people will understand, so that you don't go cranky. Are we together? Did you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Ma,
so
the other.
No, let me just land on this, and then you say that. Now, while we are trying to move them to where they ought to be, you need to put that into consideration, that they will not just wake up one day and just do it. So, and to be able to move people from point A to point B, which is the new, because people will always hold on to what they know. They're so used to it. They're so set in their ways, but you want them to do something that is better. They're not even seeing it that is better until people begin to see the benefit of it. To get them to the place of the benefit of it, that is where the rules, the firmness, that is where it comes in. So listen, you are not in a team or in a committee that is enviable. People will hate you for it. It's not because they hate you as a person, but they hate your action. So for instance, a center sends in, as we are on this journey now, a center sends in a requisition and it is for next tomorrow. And then you send a reply back that, well, we are sorry, this is coming in late. So maybe next time, please send it in. Maybe you reschedule your time, your time of delivery, or your time of whatever, expectation of this, or time of availing this process, or whatever it is. And then you send in the requisition earlier, or you resend it now, and we consider it ahead of the new time that you are looking at. When you do that for them, somebody will say, why would they do that? In fact, when Pastor Michael was doing it, it was not so. Would have come. They are not even the owners of. You will hear stuff like that. People will call you names. That is what people have done to me, because I want to move them from where God said they should no longer be and to where they should be, or we ought to be. Then they feel that, oh, it's because kiniko, oh, you are not doing it the way. We cannot continue to do things the way they have been doing it and expect to get new results, right? But if you are going to do that, you also have to sit down and think through process. So that is why we come up with regulations. That is why we come up with things like, that is why we come up with things like, okay, this meeting is scheduled for 10 a.m., for 12 noon. And so we're going to put a law on ground, because people are used to coming into meeting as and when they like. Number one, if a meeting is starting for 12, latest by 12:05, everybody must be on board. 12:05 p.m., that means that we are expecting a law that anytime 5 minutes after the time that is scheduled, you are late. When that is there, we make a law. 2, when you come on board into a meeting, all cameras should be on, because we are trying to turn our online meeting to be more like a physical meeting, so that we can see ourselves eyeball to eyeball. I can be sure that you are flowing with what I'm saying, and you can be responding, and you are less distracted. Because when your camera is on and you're getting distracted, the other people are seeing you and they can call you to attention. But when your camera is off, I don't know what's going on behind the scene. And you also know that your camera is off. So you can quickly engage somebody that comes into your room. You can attend to something else. You can be cooking. You can be doing whatever. And you not have 100% concentration on what we're doing. So we make a regulation. All cameras on at our meetings, except otherwise stated. Because sometimes maybe we're having a 10 p.m. meeting and we decide that, oh, the cameras may be off because it's night. And people are supposed to be reclining in their homes at that time. So we don't want the cameras on. But if we don't say we don't want cameras on, it must be known that we want cameras on. That is regulation number 2. Regulation number 3, everybody must speak at this meeting because we brought you on board so that we can deliberate. If we just wanted to give you instruction, we would have sent you a mail to give you an instruction. We want to deliberate. We want your idea. We want your thoughts. So everybody must speak. Because now you come into a meeting, you're not speaking. If you don't speak, then later you're now saying, oh, you had an idea. Your idea should have been shared at the meeting. Because your idea could have triggered another idea that would have helped us perhaps to reach a good decision. But you didn't bring it up there. Now we've made a decision. You want to set the hand of the clock back. So all ideas must be shared. Everyone must speak at the meeting. As we are saying this now, I'm making a regulation right now for our meetings. So once you have come up with those, and how do you make regulations and keep making regulations? It happens by reason of experience and encounters. There are things that from the onset we can say, we can preempt, but there are things that can only be preempted or can only be, regulation can only be made around them when people put up the act. So don't say before, they never used to tell us to open our cameras. Yes, when we have not experienced the fact that maybe somebody is actually cooking, until when we got on Zoom, when the issue of Zoom came during COVID, and that day we're having a meeting, myself and the tech team, we never preempted that anybody will release the mic and we'll be hearing things like, Shontamba ni bikini. What was that obscene thing that we heard that day? Was it Shontamba? I remember now, I just forgot. Something like that. Eh?
Yes, Tamba. Yes, it was Tamba. Tamba.
Tamba or something like that. Tamba for something like that on Zoom, for crying out loud. I never even imagined that in this generation that the women I'm leading, somebody will be saying Tamba. Until that happened. And that was why we now put a law at the tech team that, okay, all mic must be, in fact, they had to, because it was new to everybody, they had to go and, study how are we able to silence everybody. What are we going to do that when we now want somebody to talk, it was because somebody did it. So until you do something, a law may not come up. So don't begin to spool excuse. The center leader should not say to you that, before, when the person was doing it, they did it. When she was doing it, maybe they did not come to terms with the fact that, oh, these things are distracting, or you're not, or because we allowed you to do this, you are now overstepping your bounds, or you are going too far. So we need to call you back, right? You will hear all those things. But I'm saying that now, study the pattern and take note of what you do not want a reoccurrence with, and then begin to put regulations in place. Now, when you also put regulations in place, it must be circulated. So you can put a regulation in place now and tell yourself that we're going to operate with this in the next, in the first quarter of this year. Towards the end of this quarter, you will now check towards those, as this thing is going on, you'll be checking compliance, or the one that you also put in place, that the compliance is not as easy as what you thought it would be, then you will tweak it. That is how people come up with templates. They don't just wake up one morning and begin to do stuff. That is how to move people from one end to the other. So people will disobey you. What do we do with those who disobey? How many times must somebody, Peter asked Jesus, so when your brother offends you, he said you forgive him 70 times, 7 times. He put that there just so that you will not say because you are forgiving once or you are forgiving twice. So when Peter asked, he said, okay, is that what you're asking? I'm saying to you 70 times 7. And he knew that, of course, it would be silly of you to sit down and be counting. Ronke, I've seen your hand. It would be silly to be counting 70 times 7. He knows that at some point you will lose count. So you just know that what God is just saying is that just forgive. Just make forgiveness a part of you. But he had to make that rule. Otherwise, people will barely forgive once and they will say they're forgiven. And they will still come back to the same problem. Do you understand what I mean? So it is based on those things that you put these things in place. And that is how gradually, those who will comply, Those who cannot comply, they will fall off. In fact, in the year we have come to, non-compliance by the end of the year, you will see people fall off. And it will be majorly because they cannot comply with the regulations. Because we have been on this transition journey for such a long time. If I'm being repeatedly saying the same thing to you and you are not complying, you're going to be removed. That is why Yoruba people will say it is the white man that did pencil that also did eraser. So if I use a pencil to write your name and say, okay, you are on board, and you choose not to comply, I will use the same eraser that Oyinbo man created to erase your name. After all, I brought you on board. Do you understand? So, Ronke, what did you want to say?
Okay. We also have some instances whereby we have expenses have been incurred, payment made to the vendors, and maybe a week or so after they are just sending the requisition. And maybe sometimes it will be like, okay, maybe the chief servant gave them the approval or something. I don't know if that is always the case, because really we've had instances like that. I just
Okay,
want
so
to
I'm
know
also
if
going to
that.
answer that by saying that, again, we're in transition, right? But in a little, we didn't just get here. From a while ago now, chief servant does not give approval. Okay? The only thing that, if you read our policy, you will see there that there's something called discretionary approval. So maybe those who are supposed to give approval are dragging on it, and we're going to somersault, or we're going to miss an opportunity, or it's going to cost us something. Then she gives the approval, right? There are discretionary things. Now, the one I want to circle for you is anybody in this world, within this ministry or outside self, can come up and say, chief servant said. You can't hold me liable for that, because I'm not where they're telling you what they're telling you, and I don't know what the person is saying to you. Anybody, I can say Ronke said, and I can say you said anything, right? But what wisdom says to me as a person, and which I think should be applicable, is if somebody comes to me and says, Ronke said this, do I have the number of Ronke to confirm? Do I have the email address of Ronke to send her an official mail to say, okay, man, they said that you have approved this. Is it okay? Because if chief servant approves it, really and truly, you shouldn't be able to. If she approves it, it's approved. But can you check that she approved it? If you now feel that, ma, and based on that, I mean, what you approve now, we really don't have, like a vote for it. She will now tell you that, well, yes, there was no vote for it, but this is something new coming on board. Or she will say, oh, really, you don't have? And then she will say, okay, noted against next time. So it doesn't mean that they cannot talk to her. It doesn't mean that she cannot, she cannot be appealed to, or she cannot even be checkmate. No. It's just approach that matters, right? So you can corroborate what they're saying. But somebody comes to you and says, chief servant said, and you say, Shebi, they gave us assignment, and they gave us assignment, and they are doing it behind. And then you pick an offense or you move away and you leave that. That is totally wrong. You can confirm. Anybody can use my name to get anything. I can't remember the right examples right now, but I know that there have been examples of when I say, okay, so who told you this? By the time they are checking, it's not true. They just said that when we were talking to you, just like that's why I was putting it on ground now concerning the treasurer. That don't assume that because you had a meeting in this committee and you have decided that we are paying 2.2, then she will go and disburse 2.2 without you actually giving a final approval. That's why I said PFB will still have to send a mail to the treasurer as the treasurer now. You don't look at it from the eye of familiarity. Maybe we sat in the meeting together. What's all this stress? It's not stress. Because the office of the treasurer is different from her presence here. You will now send a message to the office of the treasurer, because in another year or another time, the treasurer may not be the same person who is sitting down here with whom you made the approvals, right? You will send the information, but in the case of the treasurer, because we said a treasurer must constantly be here, and that is to give you information of what is available and what is not available. But don't assume that because she's here, she already knows. I don't already know. Because you are saying something around me does not mean you should disregard the office that that person occupies that will make her to be able to make a decision that you are trying to push. So I've said it around you people here now. And maybe I'm here at this meeting. I'm a center leader, and I've told you people. I should now assume that because I've explained it to you, you have approved it. No, I must wait for you to send that, okay, now we have approved what we agreed, or what you said, or we did not agree on what you said. This is what we have agreed on, and this is what we're going to be doing. That is what they call regard of office. You cannot just get familiar because the person is around you. No, Toyin can be here. She can be a part of you here, but there is the office of a treasurer that needs validation. That in fact, the chief servant is monitoring. That's why she must be put in copy. She wants to see why she's disbursing money. You see, if an approval comes now and she's in copy, By the time disbursement is taking place, I know that it has already gone through all the checks that they are supposed to check. So wherever they are doing it from, I will be okay that, okay, they've gone through it, it's gone through checks and it's fine. If whatever reason, there's still now an issue I have with it, that is the reason why I call her to say, why are you sending money from this account? For what reason? And then she comes to me and says, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't even know it was that 2190 I'm using it from. Or I'm doing it from here because you see, this just one to me 2 days ago and I was really upset. I was like, what nonsense is that? Why are you doing it from there? This is not the way I say you should do it. Why are you doing it from there? What you were supposed to do from there was different, right? The way I said it was different. But you see, if a mail had gone to her regarding that instruction, all I will do, and I'm in copy, all I will do is pull that mail now and say, I have this mail here stating this, because some people, they will not believe until you show them a proof of what they are doing. Many of us don't see ourselves in our actions. We only see other people. And that is why I am insisting on the mail. When you are giving instruction, when you're doing anything on the mail, what we use the WhatsApp to do is to fast forward things. So sometimes, like you said, we give an approval and something is already done and you are sending in requisition is because of timing. But like I said, we are trying to move away from lastminute.coms to, to do advanced measure. Whilst we are on that journey, you have to keep putting regulations in place, okay, guidelines in place that will help the person to know that this thing I'm sending is late. The Bible says where there is no law, there is no sin. So if I do not tell you that you cannot put your hand on my nose, you can as well put your hand on my nose. If I don't tell you that you cannot put your hand across my shoulder, you're not my husband, you're putting your hand across my shoulder. And you're a man, what's causing that? The person may think, oh, we're close. I'm standing next to her, I want to take a picture and put his hand on my neck. And maybe I take offense to that because I don't want any misunderstanding that, oh, maybe that person is her husband. I'll tell you, please don't do that next time. Or the right office within the ministry says, please don't put your hand on the shoulder of our chief servant next time. Please, we take that very strictly. Please don't do it. And the person can feel offended. What's wrong with you? What is that? Did they say I want to marry her? Do you think I don't have my own way? Anybody can rant, but you know the reason why you are doing it. You will just say that next time, is it out two things? The person picks offense, does not relate with you people again, or the person when the person has to come around you, will not dare put his hand there again. And if he does it again, you give him what he deserves. That is how we move people into what we want. That's how to change things, especially if you have allowed some things or some things have been in operation before now. That is how to switch people into the right way. I hope it's clear. Okay, DBA. Abi, I saw your hand after Ruke's hand.
Yes, ma'am. Okay, for example, and number one.
I saw your hand before
talking about
before her own. Go ahead.
Yes.
I'm just telling her because I can't see her hand up anymore. DBA, go ahead.
Yeah, okay.
I think you should switch off your camera still for a while. It's still, maybe when you want to talk in particular, switch it off.
Number one, about that we're not planned. Okay, sorry. Okay. So apart from some expenses, they might be out because of maybe something that is happening. Like, for example, overflow center. They were asked to provide projector and screen during HFIC campaign that was still going on, as we were talking about HFIC.
Yeah.
And it was given to them on a Tuesday, and they needed to execute on a.
That's right. That's right. I remember that. Are we still together?
A Thursday. So those prior, so they didn't plan for it. It was to come. I'm just trying to that some expenses we can't we can't have everything perfect. So 1, 2 is that expenses that were made without consultation. An example which I discussed with the people involved and all was they said that they had to print flyers for TBWF, which was used at the Agege project, which was a good one. good idea, good initiative, but they did not consult with anybody. So it was after the money had been spent and they had likely paid the printer that the requisition was now sent in some
For
weeks
what?
after.
Sorry,
So
I didn't get that. For what? What was that? What did they spend the money for?
they printed TBWF flyers,
Okay.
which was shared at the market outreach.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
And so so that came, they did not carry any of us along, as in we were not aware of the expense until the requisition came in after the event had taken place.
Okay.
Yes,
Yeah.
had passed. So which is one of the things that comes.
Facing. Yeah.
Also, like recurrent expenses. I just want to talk about our recurrent expenses. We know some things like about all the centers, as in I don't think they are supposed to be sending in requisition every time, especially when we already know we will pay for the hall. We will pay for instrumentalists. We will pay for this. So once since we have all that, they are recurrent. So it's not for us to be reapproving the same thing all over again. So it should always only carry the extra things that maybe is not part of the recurrent expenses, which we would have highlighted at the recurrent one. So the one that maybe like the projector issue now was not part of their plan, so they can now send it and it will just be plainly projector issue. I think that will also help reduce our headache. Now, one of the headaches that we had, or one of the things that we had to deliberate on, was because there was also request for increments from centers, increments for payment of instrumentalists and all, which is because of the situation, transportation and all that within the country. So that is another thing that we need to really just plan ourselves going forward, so that all those things do not come in to distract us. Now, talking about vendor list, yes, about vendor list for like decoration, we already have worked on it to the barest minimum. We pay 21,000. There's no how anywhere where you will decorate that hall for 21,000. If you want to, yes, anywhere. We know that it is all about the relationships that we have, the people that
Social
are giving
capital.
their materials and all that. And that's how we do. Yes. So we are leveraging on social capital. We are usually always paying for transportation and for the cost of the guy that will come and fix the fabric and all. So I'm just trying to reiterate this in terms of whether we did proper negotiation with the vendors that are that we use or not, or in terms of whether, because I can remember that during AWR, PFB mentioned that when they want to do things at was it Canaan land, that about 10 people will have gone around to do sampling and come back to give a particular amount. Now it depends also on the time allocated that we have to do all the sampling and requesting for one vendor from here. When we wanted to buy the cables, the TV, when we were setting up the TV screens we got a quote from Mr. Agu. He gave us he had given quotes, but we eventually did not buy from him. We still went somewhere else to buy because we got it cheaper. So just trying to say that as much as possible, we keep pushing to try and get the best done. But there are some some urgent things that comes in. Like when the brake of a vehicle got bad, there was no miracle we could do. It is something that has to be done, or it can't be managed. It is something that just has to be done, and it was urgent. So maybe there should also be a vote, or an account that is for emergency, so that such money can come from those that type of account, and it will not affect the other things that have been planned or budgeted.
Thank you. So that I can take it all together. Let PFB also talk. Tonya, I was asking whether your hand was, I saw your hand up, you brought it down. Is it that the issue had been answered? I want to take it all together so that I will now respond.
I actually wanted to rephrase what Sister Ronke said when she said PMO giving approval. It was more like the comment is PMO has instructed that we do this. So based on that office, or the instruction coming from the chief servant office, most times people go ahead to do it and then come back afterwards. But before now, I know that I've said that even when PMO says do this, it does not still stop you from saying PMO has asked that I do this, I will send in requisition. So there is like an heads up that, okay, we are expecting this bill to come in. But I don't know how we want to address that, because well, from my own perspective, I think the issue most of us have is that once PMO has given instruction, it kind of overrides every other person's instruction. That's more like PMO said I should do this. Who are you to query me on you didn't send the requisition beforehand? If there's a way we can do that, okay, fine. There are times instructions will come like that. If an heads up can be given from whoever wants to carry out that instruction, so that it's not coming later on, because we are all human. And then if the chief servant has said I should do something and I go ahead and do it in the integrity of following through, and then I'm asking for my money and you are saying you didn't tell me before, people can really get offended. But we'll be looking at it from two different perspectives. You are looking at it from honoring instruction, and this other person is looking at it that how do I fund your money so that you're not feeling. So most times it's not really that approval came directly like that. It's more like I've been instructed to do this and I have done it, and then the reaction to it is you must honor this requisition like immediately. That was what I just wanted to say and ask, that how moving forward, how do we help ourselves such that even when such instructions come, we don't have to be in conflict with one another with, okay, you didn't send a requisition, how do we fund it? Or, okay, I'm giving an heads up, because there's always been an issue like that. I don't want to speak.
You don't want to do what? Okay, PFB, go ahead.
I think it's the same thing I want. Sorry, when sorry first for my camera. My phone I was inside, the phone was very hot. So I entered it, so I put it on the floor. Because of that, when I put my camera off.
It's receiving.
Now, because it was so hot, like you go off, you just say your phone is off. So you just cut off. I run quick, come inside the room. What the thing that Sister Ronke is Toyi said, and that I want to talk about. Then Pastor Dr. Buki said mention it. Just like that, people that will come, they say PMOs don't say we should do this. They just come now. They're going to say the money. They're going to call Toyi, or they're going to call me, say they never pay my money. Whose kind of thing is this? They never give the money, and I've done the thing. Me, I think like I just think about that. Maybe if PMO want to do things, maybe if he told them, then maybe let PMO go to the treasury, talk with the treasury. I want this thing being done. But go to treasury, call treasury. Maybe it's Nagunke or Toyi. Then they call. So at least then discuss. They say that this want to do now. Almost PMO want to do this. Now what you want to do for her? I think I don't know if that one can better. But then just go ahead and just do it. They will just come. Now this I spend. Give me this. Then to protocol then too. Protocol now, like when they say everybody make a bill, yes, I know at times things could come add on it. But with protocol, they know that 10 people are coming. We in business for me to get 10 person, or this program that maybe just come or pop up. When we say, okay, they will get program next week or tomorrow, there's program, and something will just come up like that. If then protocol want to do it safe, let protocol go first, ask the team, go first to a treasury. Now there's phone, there's WhatsApp. This then say we should buy for these people. What now this we want to use? Then let one treasury go talk and say, this one is not available now. Una can cut it down to this. We can do that, but then we just go and carry everything out. They don't do after when they come and say they want their money now, they want their money now, they want their money now. Waiting as though you say it's true, they go be offended. I know plenty of people say, I don't pay for this thing, I don't do it now, forgive my money. I think say, like, if we're able to find a way, maybe if mommy don't get, as mommy get the ideas, or mommy has PA, or it's maybe communicate to the PA first. Maybe if the PA they communicate to them, then they pass on through them, through treasury. So they will know that it could be a balance. That they know we can't save, they don't go spend how maybe waiting the budget not say, then come with it. So that will not be any problem. Once they know that, if that be a law, they know it. Anything when they tell them, if the thing is urgent, they must make approval, they must come first, then sit, they know how to do it. Or not some will be urgent, people can understand. That one just come promptly, yes. But the one if now like 2 days before the thing will work, let them come, let them sit down and work on it. But they not just come, just be normal, pay and just say that this we don't take and buy. We can't do that one. I think that if we're able to work on that back, I think that one will be fine. I think that I want to contribute on.
Okay.
Thank you, ma'am.
So let me take it from which is still the same. What's the last thing is still the first one that Runke said, talking about impromptu expenditure. Okay, doctor had said something regards to that, answering a bit of that, talking about I remember, and that's why I prefer the way doctor has said it, in the sense that she gave an example. All these other ones you guys are talking about, I was going to say, it will be better if you give an example, an instance, which will help to understand the premise behind it. And then we're able to correct whatever is out of order in it. So she gave the example of overflow center, and they making a requisition. Perhaps, I don't know about the requisition, but from what she said, I gather that now. Concerning TV, they needed to rent a TV or so, and maybe the stand, because they wanted to project the HFIC video that was shown to us on Tuesday at the meeting. Now, that video, I was seeing it for the first time as you all saw it, whoever was in the meeting that day. And all of us, you can tell, you saw the reaction of everybody. It stirred up something. That video went a long way to inspire people to go after, selling those tickets, bringing in funds. They sent it to people even outside. Because people can give, they can see, they have an idea of what we're talking about pictorially. Their convictions, they were convinced more, and people were able to commit to it. And that is exactly what I'm trying to say here too, with example. But when you just come vaguely, making a vague statement, classifying, just saying things without an example, it doesn't really communicate well. Storytelling is what life is about right now. So when I saw that video, and then HFIC team, Pastor Flola and MKF had a meeting with me that day, and I said to them, you see what we just did now, we need to ride on it to be able to bring in funds. As at that time, they had less than 5 million. I think they had 4.9 million. And they were still going all the way to over 9 million. I said, look, to scale right now, with this video that I saw, the way these people reacted right now, anybody who sees this video will be able to commit to looking for funds, to raise funds for this thing. I said, can we take this through our centers? This was a Tuesday. So there's no way they could have asked for funds for TV screen or whatever before that Tuesday because the instruction had not come. The instruction also is not a belleful instruction. It's not because I just wanted to do one show somewhere. It was because it was going to add up to what we were working on. And I said, let them show this thing. Then she said, oh, how would they show? It's only here that we have TV. I said, can they get TV? And to get a TV should not be a problem between Tuesday and even Wednesday, because they were supposed to do the same in the centers that we're holding on Wednesday as well. So I'm not saying that not doing requisition is right, but I'm saying that I'm going back to the fact that I'm saying we are on a transition. This thing we're noting here right now, doctors should extract this so that we're able to train people down the line. Meaning that when I gave that instruction, because when I got to Ikorodu the next day, there was no TV to show it. And I was like, but I gave this instruction that they should get TV. And I know their center leader. It is the instruction you don't give that you should not expect from her. Even the instruction you don't give, she uses her discretion to do things. So I knew that if they told her about the TV, they would get TV. So I in my mind, my conclusion was that, oh, they did not act on it. I don't know whether they took it to those centers of Wednesday, but by the time I was challenging Pastor Flora that, the video, how the video motivated people in Lagos on Tuesday, I said people should do it in other centers, for the remaining part of the week. He said they did it, that because in Ibadan, they did it. And she was the one that ministered. So she was there when it was showing. I said, no, I went to Ikorodu that Wednesday and it was not done. She said, she's not aware of that. So what am I trying to say? If all of us, not only people within this committee now, if everybody, if that is part of the guidelines we're going to be given, once an instruction is given, the people who own the instructions, who are supposed to deliver on it, should take it and run with it immediately. So for instance, having given that instruction to HFIC team, all they needed to do was send a message immediately, communicate. Okay, pardon me, light went off my laptop, so you may not be able to see me properly. Can you hear me though?
Yes, ma.
Okay.
Yes, ma.
It's so funny. I'm seeing myself move on the camera, but you guys are not seeing me. Okay, all right, it's gone off now. Okay, so, oh, wow. What did I say?
We're talking about instructions.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, so if they pick that instruction anyway, and she communicated it to the center leaders immediately. I was talking about communication. That communication is not that I have sent you a mail. Communication is a two-way thing. When you send somebody a message, you must be sure that the person got your message and is in sync with what you're saying. So communication is not just, because I've sent somebody a message, or because somebody was around me when I was making the call, then automatically the person, she heard me, she should have known. No. Because when I gave that instruction, I gave the instruction of during the meeting, and they responded to me. So I know that they heard me. So what I was expecting was for them to then deliver on that instruction. So if they had called the center leaders to say, we need to have monitors or screens in your centers for this meeting. And when the center leader or the person in charge of that center that was communicated to hears it, immediately makes a requisition for it without waiting, then what you are saying now will not happen. Am I right?
Yes.
Does it explain?
Yes,
does it answer what it's good? All right. So we move on. Then you're not talking about, they came, they said PMO said, and they went to do it ahead. I don't know, because you didn't give examples. If you had given examples, I'll be able to explain. But what came to me, the only example that was mentioned was protocol. I will use protocol as example. For instance, business summit. Because the funds used for business summit is never on ground. It is something they also raise. And like I said, before they wake up to start planning for business summit, we are close. So when they do these budgets, they know that they're going to buy this stuff. They know they're going to raise the money. And they want to start their shopping so that they are not the ones now in the market on the morning of the first day of the business summit. They pull funds from themselves. They go do the shopping. Okay? So it's not a matter of PMO just told them to do. Like Doctor said, there are things we call recurring expenses. When in this ministry, it is statutory, if I can use that word, that when we bring in guests, we honor them and we gift them. And there are 2 things we do, or 3 things we do. We give them honorarium in terms of money. We give them gifts and we give them food. So they begin to prepare for all of those things, right? So when they are done with, oh, okay, we put that behind us. Money is now coming in. They are making requisition for the money that they advanced. So from what you have said now, what I see that we need to tweak there is, what you are saying is they should give you heads up. If they give you heads up, I want to understand, is it that the heads up is just for you to prepare so that you can do the transfer, or to generate the funds, or heads up to cancel out what they want to do? I need those who have spoken to give me insight to what you were trying to say. I'm using Business Summit now as an example. I know that there are other occasions. For instance, we have impromptu guests coming in. Okay? And we need to, I remember the day that Pastor Mrs. Adewale came to fellowship. And I realized that what we were going to give was nothing compared to what that woman had done. I decided that we're getting a gift. Because of this kind of, PMO said, she's the one that is always doing impromptu thing. They didn't ask Treasury whether they had the money before. Ask them. I funded, there are many gifts I funded from my purse that ended up not coming to you. Simply because of this matter. That they will say, oh, she's because she raised, she didn't wait, they didn't bring it to us before to approve. They just came, they said they spent money. Most of those kind of expenditure, I take care of it myself. Right? So the one of Business Summit is one that I can categorically say, or an impromptu guest comes and we need to give a gift. If they wait for approval during service, what I always tell them is go and tell them. But if they tell you, what would you suggest? Would it be that, oh, we should not give the person gifts? Okay, I want us to reason this together now. Would it be that, oh, well, we didn't plan for it, so we shouldn't give her gift and we don't have the money? When other things come up and people are telling me the account that we can take money from, I take it that it is because you don't consider that an important thing. That's why you feel we can dismiss it. We don't have to give them, or just give them anything. I would rather not give than give just anything. Do we understand? So I want us to comment on that so that we can now have a guideline on what steps they need to take when impromptu comes. We understand recurring. And even the recurring, I'm going to come back to that recurring because there's something I want to say about the recurring. But for instance, the Business Summit, I've just explained what happens. They are raising money, but they need to get these things out of the market, out of the way. 1, for price sake. 2, for instance, even HFIC, when they started buying, because they had some money in their account, they could start buying. If not, they would have pulled funds together to, first of all, take those things out of the market before the price increase comes. So from what you have said, I gather that, okay, they needed to tell you. But I'm asking the question, when they tell you ahead, what does that do? Is it to prepare you in pulling the funds together, or in knocking it off that is something they should not do? That's what I want us to balance so that we know which guideline to put in place now. So those who spoke, how many of the 4 of you actually should comment on that? I hope you understand my response. I'm not condemning what you have said, and I'm not judging that, oh, what has been done is the entire right thing, but I'm shedding light on what is going on behind that you don't know, and I'm asking way forward that we can put heads together about. Let's do that quickly.
Oh, okay, ma.
His hand is up. Let us speak. Please raise your hand. As you raise your hand, in that order, I'll call you.
Okay, ma. Thank you, ma. My own, what I want to talk about, but the impromptu thing that they come. Yes, the kind Dr. Buki say yes. So like that one for Abiyokuta is understandable. But at times, what I want to say, I want to let's cut down on our expenses. If visitor come, yes, we didn't plan it, but we at least let's cut down on some spend that we did spend.
Like which one?
Like if yes, like visitor that came that we didn't plan that, she didn't tell you, she didn't tell, say just came in like that.
I have never given a visitor. The visitor that did not tell me, we don't give them gifts. So when I say impromptu, I don't mean we don't know they are coming. We know they are coming, but it's not part of our year planner that they are coming. That's what I'm saying. There's no visitor that will just walk in and say they came to visit, or they are just passing by. Then we'll now give them gifts. What are we giving them gifts for? It must be somebody who has ministered, and we're honoring the gift of God in their life. I don't do that.
Okay.
If I do that, it will also be that I have funded it myself. Maybe I just feel I wanted to give the person something. And that's more like my personal business, not the ministry. So if they come to minister, maybe for instance, we are having, I remember there was a time we brought Salmos to come and minister in song, right? Bola Discovery, ministered in song. They can't minister and you tell them to go. It's not ethical in ministry. Let's begin to understand that. If we don't value what it is, we can think it's something we should take out. But if we understand the motive behind, etiquette says those who minister to you must be also communicated to with our resources. That's what the Bible says. It's scriptural. So I'm not doing anything out of the scripture. So if we don't want to give, if we know that, our expenses, we don't want to give, then we should not bring guest ministers to do anything for us. We shouldn't. But we cannot use people. People cannot be a blessing, and you don't even communicate appreciation. Thank you is not enough when somebody comes to minister to us. It's not ethical. But there's no problem in it if you know that, your ministry is so low in funds, you don't have money to give anybody, then don't bring them. Do you understand? Even when they suggest it, just tell them, I will not be able to afford you now. That is the reason why I don't bring certain people, because I know that we cannot afford what we're supposed to give them. And I know other people who have brought people who they know they cannot afford it, and they bring them. So, it's unethical. So I don't do it. So I know the difference. So I'm sure that we've never given anybody who did not minister to us gifts on the purse of the ministry. If there's anything they gave them, it's not ministry money. It's either I brought something from home to give the person, or I ordered for the thing myself, just so that, we save face that they came to us, we didn't give them. Do you understand?
Yes.
Continue. Yes, I just wanted to explain that part. Continue.
That is my own view. That I think we slow down let's slow down our spending.
So I was asking, if you are saying we should slow down on expenses, give examples of what we spend on that they should slow down on. If it is this gift matter, I just explained the gift matter. If it is the gift matter and you're insisting that it's the gift that we should slow down on, then that means we should not invite people. That's it. But if we invite people, we must give them gifts. And when you are going to give them gifts, you look at the person you are giving. I want to say categorically to you, there is nobody we have brought in this ministry, I'm telling you the truth now, that we have actually given commensurate offering to. Nobody, including the Business Summit home speakers that we brought. You people can commonize them that because they are part of us. But the stuff that those people delivered, and the stuff they deliver outside, what we gave them is not commensurate. It's still under. But it is better at least you give under, but you give something that is, relatively okay. So my own if that is what you are, that is the focus that you are saying, for us to cut our expenses is on this guest issue that we give to. It is better we just, maybe for now, maybe we say in the next how many years that you're expecting that we'll now have money enough, we should not bring guests, because if we bring them, the Bible says we must honor them. In honoring them, honor, the way you honor people, how you know you honor people is determined by what you put on them, the premium you put on them. how much you are able to commit to them shows the honor. So when people come back and they're saying, oh, that place, oh, their protocol was this, oh, their whatever was that, it is what we did that is making them say so. So it's either we cut down on that. That's the way I'm just explaining how to go about it. But that if you think that we will bring them and then we'll be giving them those kind of money that they used to suggest, that I will say no, we give them 50,000 naira. No, I'd rather not invite them. It's better we continue to operate our programs and not have special programs and not invite people than you bring somebody. You will bring Pastor Mrs. Adewale, you give her 50,000. Is it petrol money? Especially in this age and time. Do you understand? But at the same time, that does not mean that we cannot cut down on our expenses. I'm just telling you how to cut down on the expenses. So we will take one. Either we want the guests to come, or we don't have the, we give them what we at least can even just gauge a bit, or we don't have the guests at all. And we're able to save our money and build our purse till when we are buoyant enough to have other people come minister to us. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yes, Mom. Then, yeah, like the way you are saying it is not bad. I think we cut down, maybe we cut down of some programs that we invite people. We call them that before we call them
just
down.
Those programs. Let's, because you know we're deliberating. Everybody now, hold on. Everybody, as you are talking, please don't let us belabor ourselves. As you are talking, be giving examples, because that's the only way we can move forward. Yes. So go ahead and give the example.
What I want to say now, to just cut everything up, maybe let's sit down and the four of us, let's sit down and check where we are spending money. We are for the year, for all these maybe this, let me say this 2 years. Then we see how where more we are putting, where more our money has gone, where we spend money on. So let's sit down and watch at it. If this money that we spend, is it worth it for us now, or it's not worth it? So we can, now this thing we can cut down on this thing for now, or this thing we can go ahead of this thing. I think after this meeting, let we come back together. We see that, let's check where the money has gone this year more. But this whose program the money has chopped money, whose money that this thing has chopped on. Let's sit down and look at it. Is it benefit to the ministry, or this thing chopping the ministry money is not benefit? Or we are there at this, we are not in that realm yet to begin to do this kind of thing, or to begin to spend this other money. So I think before they talk at least after this, I think let's make meeting back at two treasurer, because almost the alternate treasurer. Then they will see that
we don't have two treasurers. We don't have two treasurers. We have only one. I don't know who you're referring to. Who is the second treasurer?
It's in and start doing lenge. So I think say, okay, well, all of us let them sit down, we check it. So from that way, now then we know how to cut down. That I just want to contribute. How we able to cut down our expenses. So we know that this trip, we used to do this. We are not doing this trip. We will do it. Maybe we can do it in another way. But how to cut down the expenses? Now that's mommy I want to talk. Thank you, ma.
All right. Saronge. Your hand is up. Your mic is off. But your hand is up.
Okay. Just what I would like to say is that the programs really, they are not really that, for me, they are not really that much based on the level at which the ministry is. It's not as if the ministry is a young ministry or a growing ministry. It's already an established ministry. All I think we need to do is that I think the channels of income, we need to really work upon the channels of income. I think that's what is actually low compared to what we are doing as per the programs are. Because if we gift a guest minister 500,000, I don't think it's too much. It's too big to me. Even there was something I was even thinking that by now, to me, I think the ministry should even by now be funding some of the other ministries like the MOI. If at the end of the year, the Vpwm is saying, oh, we are giving 2 million to MOI projects, or we are giving 5 million to MOI projects, whatever project you want to do during the course of maybe 2024, okay, we are putting that 5 million. I don't think it's too much to ask or something at this level. So I think we should rather channel our energy, or maybe are thinking caps, okay, how well can we generate much for funds? Because really, it's more of these teachings and these programs too that would help in the increase the income of the congregants also. So because it has to be more of a like a balance that you can't just be more of word. There should be music at sometimes, like there should be other guest ministers that will come with another, okay, maybe you can't talk about health, mom can't talk about it. So you have to bring ministers that are specialists in that area. So I think we should look more of course, there are ways we need to cut expenses too. There are some expenses that need to be cut, but not that we should focus more on the expenses. We should need to focus more on how to generate more income for the ministry.
All right. Next. I'm not sure whether this question I asked is what we are balancing, but go ahead. Thank you.
Okay, man. So from what I said, it's I think it's the same thing. DBA already mentioned it as an example. And one that comes easily to me right now is the Agege outreach that we did at Agege, and the cards were printed. That is one example now that I was referring to when I say, okay, that that's whoever was generating the expenditure. Because when I saw that request, the first thing that came to me, or that I think I commented on the group, was, why are they just bringing it now? That at least there should be an heads up. And then DBA explained that she said that it was an impromptu thing. I think it was MDA that did the printing. That it was an impromptu thing, that PMO just told her to do it and stuff like that. So I said, okay, so moving forward, such that the reason why I said so.
Can I clarify something? Even though I will go back and check up with MDA. If I recall, when we were at that outreach that day, when we saw the crowd that was thronging and coming, and we saw that, oh, this could convert, we saw the caliber of women that were coming, this could convert to members for us, because people were asking, oh, where are you people? We're giving numbers to some people so that they can attend fellowship the following week. I then said, do we have our cards that we can share? Can they call for flyers? That's what I said. So I said, if they don't have, maybe they said they don't have, or they said they have a particular one or something. And then I said, oh, we can get it done if they can get it done. Now, if I said they can get it done, did I say that they should not go and do the proper thing? Did I say they should not send in a requisition for approval? Did I say they should not call you to say, oh, we've been asked to generate cards to be able to to double this thing as evangelism, or awareness, to market our ministry to people? Did I say they should not corroborate? I mean, they should not call for to requisite for that thing that they have done? Of course not. So maybe if they called you at that time, you people would have known that you don't have money to do flyer and would have left it there, and would have lost the people that they would have maybe marketed the ministry. I know people who have been coming to me, oh, from the Agege outreach. I was at the Agege outreach that day that they come to meet me in fellowship. But if they had done the requisition and you told them that it's not important, or you don't have money to fund it, they wouldn't have done it. Because when I see something that should be done and I say do it, does that stop them from asking you, oh, we have just been asked to do this, should we go ahead? Which for me is what I'm saying, that we need to balance. So at the point where you are told to do something, take it to the people who are going to pay for it, so that they know whether it is something they want to pay for or it is not necessary. And if it is not necessary, you drop it. Whatever will be the consequence of that is the consequence. The consequence is, but the few people that has come since then will not come. That's it now. And it will not shut down the ministry. But to say that, oh, it was impromptu, she just said we should go and print it now. If I say they should go and print it now, I did not put a caveat on it. I don't bother to ask them. You just go ahead and do it. Whether they say there's money or not, you just go. I never said that, right?
Sorry, I'm not I don't know if understand what I'm trying to say. I'm not saying that printing the card was not right. Or
I didn't say you said so. I'm just saying that I did not stop them from taking the proper route. So the guideline we should be doing, I'm objectivity. What are we going to do to circumvent the things that you have noticed is what I'm about, which is why I said we should comment on it. So what we need to bring out of this is that, oh, when they take instruction, oh, PMO said we should do this. Is it wrong for PMO to say we should do something? No. PMO said we should do it. PMO can say we should do it because she feels it is needful. But then there are people who are supposed to weigh these things. Can we afford it now? And there are other things that people have brought, and I'm saying that clearly here, that they have brought as well, that they feel they need it now, and they expect it to be done. And so if we say it cannot be done, then we drop it, it's not done. Or we feel that, oh, okay, we can accommodate it, then we accommodate it. They didn't come back to say to me that Treasury said, no, we can't afford the cards now. And then I say to them, go and print it on the premise of the card. The worst case that would have happened was that MOM would have printed that card if I felt that it was so needful. I needed to cash in on this crowd and pour them into the ministry. That's the worst that will happen. We would have printed it. Or maybe the worst that will happen is we don't print it. But the next thing to it would have been, okay, don't worry, pass it into our own vote, print the card, because we don't want to waste this number of people. We don't even want to look irresponsible, like we can't move them into another thing that we are doing. Do you understand what I mean? But bottom line is that, did they even bother at all? So that the gap there for me is the fact that they did not. They just went ahead in doing it. And that's why I'm saying we're transiting from people just doing things the way they want. Just as those who think they want personal funds now, and they come to you, they say they want personal funds, and they want it, and you go and you don't have the money. There's even no vote for any personal thing for anybody, but you go and look for that money to fund it. Right? So if they bring it up and the committee knows that, oh, we can't fund this now, we throw it out and we say it cannot be funded. That's all. That's all Debola would have done. So if they brought it to you that they call is a call. The first thing, which was what he said, heads up. First thing first is, oh, we want to do this printing now because we are at Agege right now. We need ministry cards to share with them and we don't have. We want to print. Is it okay? Okay, go ahead. Then once they have that go ahead, and that go ahead is coming from maybe the committee. Because if one person here too says go ahead, it's still as good as Vpwm said go ahead. Because one person in this committee does not have a voice. The committee only has a voice when you have put heads together to look at what is available. And then so one person here cannot say to me that something is not possible and then we'll take it in. No. But when you have put heads together and you look at it and you say, oh, the fund is not available. And even when you say that, and I feel that there's where we can take it from the ministry, that is where I come in and I say, okay, we're taking it out because it is needful. But I'm even saying concerning that cards, if they said there was no money to print cards, I would have dropped the idea or maybe funded it from MOM account, because I saw what was going on that day. We were looking silly, like we don't even have a contact. We don't have where we can move them. If I didn't have where I can move them into, I would say I don't have. But I saw potential members standing. And this is evangelism that we have tried to make people go and do, and we're not really seeing anything. And again, that also says that the evangelism team that has been going out over the years, what have they been taking? They've been going out with mouth to go and be inviting people. Didn't they have flyers that they were sharing, or is it finished? Those are the things that they should have brought to the bear. So if there was no approval for it, I didn't ask them to go and do it, which is what I'm trying to clarify. Go ahead, Tony.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm done, ma.
Okay. Doctor.
Thank you.
Okay, ma. Thank you, ma. Yeah, from this particular scenario of informing us, I think it's also a lapse on our side, both admin and media. It's a lapse on our side that every opportunity, number one, there should be always available flyers. So once we create flyers, if we print a large quantity at the same time, then it reduces the cost and we will have enough, and we'll make sure we manage it so that for such events, we will have things to use. Now, also for such event, I think one of the things that also happened was that I will say like Vpwm was not, or TBWF was not prepared, to leverage on the people. So that's why the issue of impromptu flyer came about. So I will say it's a lack of planning on our side. So which we should do better, because that's getting to the bottom of it. Now, the main thing that happened at that period, I really don't think that MDA will be calling for approval at that time. If it was something that was supposed to be done and they're already on the field, and so you are now calling, let me quickly, I'm going to print now. So should we now say, hey, don't print or whatever? So I think that one, it has happened, but it's a lapse of planning. So we should, I'm taking responsibility on the admin side, and media normally handles the printing, but media too, I will discuss this with them, because this should have been, is a result of improper plan. That's
Sorry,
it.
doctor, I agree with you. Sorry, doctor, I agree absolutely with you. However, we also, if you're going to consult with the media, you need to consult with the extinct evangelism team. At what point did the flyers finish? Who did they report to? Because there's no way media will order for a reprint, or you will order for a reprint, media will plan to reprint, if those who were handling the flyers before never said it was finished. Do you understand what I mean? So that also needs to be checked. It's part of the guide, the things we're taking note of, so that those who are handling something, if something is about to finish and you say, they will reprint if it is necessary, or they will raise, oh, we want to reprint. Then you can now say, it's not important for us to have flyers. We don't have money to print flyers. Then we'll know that, okay, that was what was approved. So when flyers are needed and we see that, oh, they've said there's no money to print flyers and we don't have flyers, that's fine. Do you understand? That also means that I would have been aware that there were no flyers. The Bola would have been aware there are no flyers, and that there is already an instruction that money is not available to print flyers in this season. Wait. And then they will not bother to call for flyers. Or like I said, if we now still feel that, oh, we really want the flyer, we will find a way around, printing the flyer. You understand what I mean? But it will not be coming back onto the ministry post, because it's already decided by the committee that, no, we don't have money now to be printing flyer. Yeah?
Yeah. Yes, ma'am. Yeah.
Okay, so are you done? Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
So thank you, everybody.
The other thing that I just want to reiterate is we just need an account for emergency funds too, ma'am. An account for emergency funds. There are some things that we need to do that always come in from two. It will be something where we can be pulling such from.
Okay. Accounts, you note it, since you're noting stuff. Accounts for emergency funds is part of what you're looking into. Yeah, that's fine. Hoping that you have money to also, because it's money you put in the accounts now, Abby. So
yes,
if you want an account for emergency funds, it's money that must be there, and if it's funded, that you can put it there. Okay. So I think one of the things, this suggestion of you meeting later is valid. You guys should meet later and look at and you looking at it does not make it final, but you need to look at and suggest the things that you feel based on past record, maybe like 2 years down the line or a year down the line, whatever, what you think should be focused on in spending. Are we supposed to be spending money on taking care of people's welfare? Is that what is relevant now? Are we supposed to be spending money on people's medical bills? Are we supposed to be spending money on school fees? Are we supposed to be spending money on, just look at what it is. Okay, salaries. Is that what should be spending money on? Allowances of people. Just look at it. When you bring that up, and then look at the things that money was spent on before that you feel right now should be played down. So that based on that, I think that meeting should hold almost like immediately, because I was about to release the year planner that we had done, that we had worked on. But if this does not come out, that means I would be announcing programs that cannot be funded. But if this is when we're talking about doing budget, this is what should have actually been done. You should have sat down to look at the budgets that were sent, the things that were sent in, and you should have come up with, all of this that is on this budget are not things that we should be able to spend money on. But like I said, we're on a transition. Now we're realizing it. So we're going to go into that. So I think that a meeting should be called immediately, and you give me a report immediately. I look into it. Whatever I think is not right on your report, I would call your attention to it. Whatever I feel okay should be upheld, will upheld. But I want to release the year planner before we resume, so that people will have like an idea of what is ahead. I also want us to remember that some of these projects, some of these programs that we're talking about, is not ministry directly generated money that funds it. Okay. Now, this last year, we funded Business Summit. And I funded Business Summit, haven't planned for it. I kept mopping funds, and we funded Business Summit majorly by that. But that team, especially the team that has been in at work right now, have always raised money. And they're not one of the teams that had told them that they raised money and I spent it, and they don't know what I spent it on. By now, I should have bought boss. The people they are telling, this team is not one of those. So they normally raise money. But this year, I felt, okay, number one, they didn't start out on time. Number two, the way the economy is going, okay? So we had been mopping funds. So majorly what we spent was from funds that was mopped. And I don't think that that fund that was mopped stopped any other thing that was supposed to have happened in the course of the year. I don't think we owed anybody salary based on that. I don't think any center that was supposed to cater for itself suffered from the expense of Business Summit. Rather, what we realized that we have been doing, okay, especially in the new dispensation that we said all centers must cater for themselves. Business Summit has always been a general program that we have, sponsored, whether they generated the funds from outside or we took some money from the purse. It has gone across the centers. So I don't think any center should be able to say, oh, they denied us what we're. So it's like when you're talking about Nigeria, when they're talking about the funds that are supposed to come from federal government to the state or to the local government, it's not that it was the fund that they were supposed to receive, maybe from a general post, was not received because Business Summit held. Rather, Business Summit, the ministry's central post, extended that gesture of the Business Summit to all the centers. Because if you ask me, one of the ways that you can say you want to cut funds, really and truly, is for us to stop Business Summits, especially in the other centers. Because the money we spend in the other centers is also coming from the same post. So what we're saying when we said they should go and do budget is that they need to factor Business Summit into their center. Like we've done a test run this year. We decided that Business Summit will not hold in Grace Center, and it did not hold. And the wall did not come down. So it's a center that cannot fund their portion of the Business Summit. Maybe should not have a Business Summit, and maybe should shut down for that period. Okay? Or join in online if we decide to stream. We can, maybe when we get to management, we can think through that. But I'm saying that is part of what people generate money from outside for. HFIC, for instance, we don't use internal money to fund it. People raise money. It's other people's money that people join forces with us to do it. Number three, so it's majorly that Business Summit and the HFIC. The other one, AWR. AWR generates funds to spend on the AWR. Most of the time, the funds that come from individuals is funds for their accommodation and a little extra to take care of the administration. Maybe we should also stop AWRs having to invite people to come and speak, because that is another area where we have guest speakers, that we spend money on. So maybe we use people from within to do the training so that we don't have to give honor. And even when we use people from within, honestly, I think it's just not a good mentality for you to just be enjoying things for free. So even if we use people from within, we should still give honorarium. And this is the reason why we put that extra bit on the money that people pay for their accommodation. And then we now ask that units should raise money. Okay, so maybe those are the things you really need to look critically into so that we know which one to stop. But before we release the business, what I'm saying is before we release the year planner, I need the report of this assessment you want to do to come in so that we'll know which ones the programs to tick off. So, Doctor, in going into that meeting, please take the year planner along so that you will read. I'll send you the final draft so that you read out the programs, and then you'll be able to assess. You will go into details what goes into having this program, what goes into having that program, so that you know which programs we want to knock off, right? Because I know that some of the programs that we have put on these things, they're never funded from within. Girls Wanna Have Fun is not funded from within. It is, so you can't go now. You need to get somebody's phone to sign on, because I want to give the instruction that I've always given you privately. I want to give it before everybody, so that you will know what you really want to go and deal with. This money that you people say you don't have, so that you can really know that what Ronke said for me is the way to go. What we should be thinking of is how to generate money. We're not even doing what we're supposed to be doing. We need to generate money. That's what I think we should be also thinking of, even if we're cutting down on expenses. You know, we need to generate money. So if your phone is hot, you need to get somebody's phone in your house probably to be able to join the meeting. It's very crucial. This is a meeting that's why if we had it physically, it would have been okay. Nobody's phone would be hot.
So this of the camera, I'm here, ma'am.
Oh, okay. All right. So finally, doctor, I've answered that, right? Finally, have you finished, doctor, or I cut into you?
Yeah, no, it's fine. We
Okay.
are finished.
Okay, so I want Toyin to explain what I had said to her before, just to corroborate the instructions I had given ahead, and then whatever is not accurate there, I will be able to now give a statement concerning the inflows of the ministry. Thank you.
Sorry, ma, I didn't get that, ma.
The instructions I've given as per spendable money is money. You need to tell us how money comes in, and then which ones have the instructions I've given concerning the monies that are coming. Yeah.
Okay, ma. So basically, income generation for the ministry is offering, regular weekly offering, tithes, KIG, and when special seats are called upon. So offering, we do savings. I mean, from the income, we are expected to do savings, a 10% savings from the income, 10% tithes. KIG, we do 50% savings, or expected to do 50% savings after tithing for KIG. And the tithe income that comes in generally is not a spendable amount. That is part of what is being mopped up at the chief servant discretion. Is not spendable. Basically.
So you come again.
50% of KIG is supposed to be mopped up as savings, and then the other 50% left in the account as spendable, and the other 50% not spendable.
Mm-hmm. Is that the only income?
No, I spoke about the other income. I said income, offering, and
what do you do with offering? Do you spend it all, or did I say savings from offering?
Yes, we are supposed to do 10% savings from offering.
Okay.
And then the offering is in the center account for the day-to-day runnings of the account of the center.
Okay. What else?
Yes, KIG, we do 50% savings.
Yes, you've said that. You said KIG, you said free.
And then
yeah.
the tithe. So the tithes are totally not spendable.
Okay.
The tithe is totally not spendable.
Okay. Good. So what else do we do? What else do you deduct from those income?
Tithes. The tithes, income tithe on the account, which is 10%.
Tithe on all income, right?
Yes. Apart from the tithe.
Okay. So can you tell us what has been in operation? This is the instruction given. What's going on?
Okay, so
you need to increase your volume a bit. I'm struggling to hear you. That's why I had to tell you to repeat yourself.
I've increased it.
Maybe you should move close to your mic. Seems as if you are far away.
No, the phone is actually in front of me. Can you hear me now, ma?
Yes, ma.
Okay, so for income for KIG
For example, for all the centers, basically, the KIG is used to offset most of the all rent. For example, for Abeokuta, their income and KIG most times does not meet up for their expenditures. And basically their expenditures is the all rent they do on a monthly basis. Their instrumentalists, they were taking care of it until lately, I think until last month, when they called to say that the ministry has to be funding. They were taking care of it by themselves. Overflow, so basically the income at the end of the day does
Sorry, don't let's rush. They said the ministry has to take over.
Yes.
What do we mean by the ministry?
As in the center, from the center's post, because they were doing it
personally.
Okay. So they called for the payment to be done from the center's post. But even at that, their income does not meet up with expenditures. That's so savings to do the savings has been like an Herculean task, because the income itself is not even, catering for the expenditures, even as much as they don't have so much expenditures like that. That is for Abeokuta, that's for Rock City Center. For Overflow Center, their income is like at par with their expenditures, because they also have expenditures on a weekly basis, and the income generation is it's not like what is projected for their expenses. So the same thing happens with savings like that. So the savings for the center is not regular.
Okay.
Generally.
All right. I realize now that the time is fast spent. We're supposed to have 3 p.m. meeting here. So I'm going to suggest that we go off and then we'll come back after that, because what you're discussing right now is very pivotal to how to move on. So if it's okay with you guys, when we finish 3:30, I'm willing to sort this matter today, because we need to deal with this now. This is how you will know what is even available that you want to be approving. We'll make a decision, because we're hearing now that centers cannot even take care of the expenses. What they were taking care of before, they want to drop it on the shoulder of the ministry, and their centers' expenses are not even balancing with their inflow. So we need to discuss that. You need to be able to, as a committee, you need to be able to speak to that, so that we'll know whether it's the centers you want to shut down now, or you want to increase, we want to look for how they will increase, their income, or we should stop saving, so that more money will be available to be able to cater for us. So we need to make those decisions. So I'll say that we should sign out now and then come back if it's okay with you. But if it's not okay, maybe you fix another date. But it's very pivotal for us to be able to do this. That is the only time we can know that, we already have a system in place. And based on that is what you want to go and work with. Okay? So I need your comments on that.
It is okay by me to come back by 3:30.
Okay, ma.
Did the other 2 people hear, or what's going on?
Papa, answer, ma. Papa, say okay, ma.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, we'll come back when we finish the 3 p.m. prayer. Come back. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma.